Hello everyone, welcome to Christian Weather Broadcasting. Repent and put your faith in Jesus, because only He can save you from hell. If you'd like to know more, check out the gospel message in the description. Alrighty everybody, let's move into a forecast on Hurricane Idalia. Hurricane Idalia is still a Category 2. You can see that it is moving inland right now. It's going to be crossing over into the Georgia border soon. You can see some areas where there is still some convection. So in those areas, those dark areas, do expect stormy and windy weather still in those areas. Luckily, from what I've been watching on the broadcast of the Weather Channel, the winds that are up in the storm itself have luckily not all dropped down to the bottom, or to the ground, so that is a very good thing. But do expect some stormy, rainy conditions if you're in the path of this storm. If you're in northeast Florida, around Jacksonville, expect some possible rain showers, and do expect some wind, but nothing too extreme. Let's take a look at our tracks for this storm. As you can see, moving up through Georgia into South Carolina and then back out into the ocean, where it just seems like it's going to tootle around out there. And we also should go to the Hurricane Center. They're saying winds of 120 miles per hour, but according to the newest update, that has decreased to 110 mile an hour, so still a Category 2, and 958 or 957 millibar pressure. Let's read through our key messages for Hurricane Idalia. Catastrophic impacts from storm surge, inundation of 12 to 16 feet above ground level, and destructive waves are expected somewhere between the Wakulla-Jefferson County line and Yankeetown, Florida. Life-threatening storm surge inundation is likely elsewhere along portions of the Gulf Coast where a storm surge warning is in effect. Residents in these areas should follow any advice given by local officials. Destructive, life-threatening winds will occur where the core of Ida moves onshore in the Big Bend region of Florida, with hurricane conditions expected elsewhere in portions of the hurricane warning area along the Florida Gulf Coast. Strong winds will also spread inland across portions of northern Florida and southern Georgia near the track of the center of Idalia, where hurricane warnings are in effect. Residents in these areas should be prepared for long-duration power outages. Damaging hurricane-force winds are likely in portions of eastern Georgia and southeastern South Carolina, where hurricane warnings are now in effect. Areas of flash urban and moderate river flooding with considerable impacts are expected from the Florida Big Bend through central Georgia and South Carolina through eastern North Carolina into Tuesday. Alrighty, everybody, let's take a look at our wind speed probability. So if you live in the path, what to expect. We have tropical storm force wind probabilities extending from all the way up into South Carolina, about 90% chance, all the way down to where the storm is now in Florida, even down further. So if you live in the path of this storm, expect the possibility of tropical storm force winds. You can see where the storm is forecast to go into Georgia before Georgia, about 50 to 60%, and into Georgia, about 40 to 50% chance of hurricane force winds. Peak surge is forecast at 12 to 16 feet. Luckily, in Cedar Key, they only got 6.9 feet. That's less than the 12 to 16 feet, but still extremely bad, because that storm surge was still able to inundate into a large part of the first floors of homes that aren't up on stilts, so you could still expect some bad effects from that. Alrighty, rainfall totals. Jacksonville, Northeast Florida, not expecting much, but anywhere, Tallahassee area, 6 to 10 inches. Augusta, pretty much through the mid-state of South Carolina, 6 to 10 inches, and out through North Carolina, out to the Outer Banks, 6 to 10 inches. So anywhere along the main path of this storm will get the heaviest amount of rain. If you live where the outer bands are hitting, you may not get as much rain. Charleston is in 2 to 4 inches of rain. Let's go to our flash flooding potential. You can see Charleston is out of the moderate. Now we have extending from Tallahassee all the way up to like Wilmington and Hatteras, North Carolina. A moderate, at least 40% chance of flash flooding. Alrighty, everybody, let's take a look at what wind speed arrival should be. Wednesday, 8 a.m. tropical storm force winds are arriving into portions of Georgia and portions of northeast Florida. Those tropical storm force winds will be moving into the Georgia-South Carolina border by Wednesday 2 p.m. And by Wednesday 8 p.m. they'll be around Charleston, it seems like. And by Thursday 2 a.m. those conditions are moving on into North Carolina. Alrighty, everybody, let's go back to our IR satellite loop. I'm going to refresh it so we can get some of the latest. You can see that eye wall has now dissipated in the storm. Or, excuse me, the eye of the storm has dissipated. So now that that has dissipated, yes, it is a weakening storm over land, but we still expect it to be a hurricane moving into Georgia. It looks like it may be right about ready to cross into the the Florida-Georgia line. It may be right ready now to cross over. And you can see these areas of convection where they're bubbling up. That's where we'd probably expect the most intense storm. So really anywhere along this track where the storm is now, right around where this storm is tracking and where those convection areas are with those cold cloud tops, those are areas where we can expect the most effects from this storm. Alrighty, everybody, I'm going to bring you up for a live look in just a second. Alrighty, everybody, here we go. We're going to have a live look here soon. Let me tilt the camera down so that you can see it. There we go, that should be good. Right now, you can't see really much of anything too incredible. There are some blustery conditions out in the pine trees over there. You can see out in the distance some dark clouds, but nothing too bad. Coming here in the next couple hours, there are going to be some rain bands, so we may see some rain moving through here. The winds have picked up from earlier this morning when I woke up around 7 a.m. in the morning-ish, 7:40 something. The winds were barely anything. So the winds have picked up since then. You can see just a little bit of blustery conditions. There's a little bit of a gust right there. So that's what we're seeing as far as gusts. And you can see up in the clouds that the clouds are moving pretty fast. So the winds definitely have increased from earlier. And I would expect the winds to increase throughout the afternoon. Not too bad, but starting to get more blustery than it was. So that is your live look for right now. Hopefully I can, hopefully you can see these conditions well. Nothing too bad, but you can definitely see that there is some windy conditions. Nothing too bad again, but a little blustery. This isn't out of the norm for where I live personally, because in the fall, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of people, gets windy, and cold fronts come through, gets really windy, thunderstorms, windy. So this is not unusual, but it is more windy than it was earlier. So yeah, that is what we are seeing right now, and hopefully I'll be back maybe in the afternoon to do another live stream and give you some more of the conditions. Thank you for watching. This has been Christian Weather Broadcasting.